Don't call her cute, don't call her feisty. She's a rebel, she is nasty, she is brave. She isn't honey, sweetie, sugar pie, baby. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved. Don't you ever say that she was well behaved. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved.
I came home the other day and Bamford was at the door greeting me, and I didn't think Shaki was home, and I started singing my laundry song, which is I'm gonna do my laundry, I'm gonna do some laundry.
Gave Shaki ammunition for weeks.
And I walked upstairs and I just saw him sitting on the couch smiling, and I was like, "Did you hear me?" He was, "Yeah." I'm gonna do my laundry, I'm gonna do my laundry. I think the endorphins from the food have hit me, and I feel less sad.
I feel still bad.
You okay?
Yeah, I just feel hungover. This day's a wash.
For those of you listening, this is a 3-week hangover for Molly.
I know. Oh yeah, I know. We recorded this 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago from when you're listening. I hope you guys had a nice Memorial Day break.
Time travel.
Don't forget about us. Okay, hi. We're here. We
never left.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I wonder what's going to be happening when this comes out. It's so far in the future.
Make some predictions. What do you think? 2 weeks from now, where do you think
Trump's going to say something crazy?
Is it going to be dumb, racist, sexist, or a combination?
All of the above.
Okay. How about what will the meme be, do you think?
It'll be him bumping into a glass door.
Okay. And what will black people have done that got the cops called on them 2 weeks from now?
Just exist in the world.
I predict it's like throwing a football.
Oh, ooh, that seems like a one that might happen. Oh, wow,
sorry.
you guys,
hi. I know. I just said I was happier now. And then I was like, what do you think?
Let's talk about the world and be happy, you know. But guess what, guys? We have each other. We have this podcast. We have friendship. And we have pizza.
I have a funny story.
Yes.
My dog's medicine is like from an online pharmacy or whatever. And so I have to call them to get it renewed.
Louis has a joke about how something is whiter than a $2,000 veterinary bill, and I
and you think of me often.
And I think of you often. Not just you. I know other kooks.
And when you call, they like confirm all of your information, including your email address. Mm-hmm. And my email address, so it's Ariel. Well, there's an S in between my first and my last name in my email address, because I can just say my email address. It's Ariel S. Elias. And so this woman was like on the phone confirming my information. She's like, okay, like this is still your phone number. And she goes, and is your email address still Ariel
Elias?
No, she said, is your email still Ariel Cialis? I've never heard it said that way, but
that's not and even, then that she realized make sense.
It's close.
Elias, but
but she just heard it in her mind as Cialis, and then she realized her mistake and started laughing.
Just because it's your favorite drug.
It's so funny, the idea that like I think she said it and didn't understand why it was familiar to her.
My email is Molly Wellbutrin. Isn't Cialis a drug? What is it?
Yeah, it's for erectile dysfunction.
Oh. So Molly Viagra.
That's why it was funny.
Joke. Cool.
I saw an ad in the subway for you can get erectile dysfunction meds now over online.
And delivered like to your quote unquote friend's house.
And so you never have to interact with a person in order to get it. Like you can just like get it.
Right. Like how birth control should be.
Yeah, it was just like, cool. Good for you. I'm glad you would never have to face anything embarrassing in your life. And I'm glad that's just like readily available for you. Congratulations. I saw that ad with
Louis and I was like, you have the opposite problem. It's like high functioning.
Gross.
Too high functioning.
Gross.
Yeah, I know. I have to live with it. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to go to Yosemite. I know that will happen in this time in between.
It's happened in the past.
Yeah, I've already been to Yosemite. It was great.
Have you ever been there before?
No, I've never been there. I have. I've only been to a few national parks. I never really had gone to a national park until, I wasn't speaking correctly with the mic. It changed in my headphones, whatever. I haven't really been to a national park, or I hadn't really until I biked across the country with this thing, Bike and Build. And then I went to a bunch then, and I've been to a few since, but I've never been to Yosemite. I hear it is gorgeous.
Are you going to camp?
Excited. I don't really quite understand. We made a reservation with some kind of tent thing. It's like you have to make a reservation a year in advance, and it's, I'm gonna volume me up a little bit. I think it's this one. And it's like you go and I think it's like just it's basically a tent. It's like walls with like cots, I think, or like tent, like cloth walls. I don't really know, but we're staying in, it's by the river apparently. We're staying in it with comedian Shang Wang and his girlfriend Ruth, like a real human being, Ruth, whose name I don't know her last name.
That's okay.
I know her first name is Ruth. But yeah, no, it's gonna be so fun. Shang's like really into nature, so he's gonna like be so excited.
Your guide. Is he going to show you which plants you can eat?
I don't know about that. No, but Louis has been there many times, so he's going to be a good guide, too, I think. I went to REI and I bought friggin' hiking boots, which was so annoying because it's like I just spent $160 on something that's ugly, but that I need.
Have you broken them in?
I haven't. Honestly, I tried them on in the store and, like, they were fine, but we're gonna go. We'll be in LA for a few days before, so I'll probably just wear them, like on little hikes for those couple days.
Petite hikes.
Yeah, petite hikes. But they were super comfortable. And we were also wearing, like, they gave us try-on socks there that were like smart wool, and so we bought some of those. And with those socks in the boots, it was like they felt super comfortable. They didn't feel like they were rubbing anywhere or anything. So yeah, that should be good. But now I just have this like super expensive thing that I don't really want.
The boots?
Yeah, like I don't spend that much money on anything, and now I just spent it on some freaking ugly ass boots.
Can you return them?
Yes, you can return anything to REI, which is cool. But I am also like, I should just have them. I like going hiking. I just wish hiking boots weren't so expensive. But I'll keep them forever, I guess. They were, yeah, you know, that's just how much they cost. Alas. Right the day after we went, REI had like a big sale. We were like, what the fuck? But the ones that I got weren't on sale, and they were the most comfortable, so it's more important to just spend a little bit more, I guess, if they're, so you don't, you know, I don't know. I'm mad about it.
Don't be. It's fine. You'll use them.
Yeah, I will.
You'll spend more on your wedding dress one day.
Ew.
And you'll only wear that once, is what they say.
Am I going to have a wedding dress?
No, it seems silly.
I don't know, dude. It seems dumb. I just want to have a fun party.
I just want like a skater girl dress.
Mm-hmm.
Those look good on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then just just an open bar.
Yeah. You can get those for like $60. Dress.
Okay. Let's do this podcast.
All right. We're going to get into it. Hi, this is Well Behaved.
I'm Ariel Elias.
I'm Molly Ruben-Long, and this is a podcast about women in history who, you know what, maybe you haven't heard of them before, but you are about to.
You're gonna learn some things. You're gonna laugh along the way.
I'm really tired. I'm sorry. You started off this podcast with so much energy, and I couldn't match you.
You brought me down.
I brought you down, and I am sorry.
No, that's okay. If anybody's gonna bring me down, I want it to be you. Speaking of which,
all right.
Okay.
Well, we'll end on like a more light note because you did two heavy ones in a row, and I did two light ones
it's like not the worst. It's not
as bad as the last one.
Honestly, and it's just like I think it's just what I've been, like, how I've been seeing the world the last couple of days. It's just been in a very negative light. I will get out of it. I just need to sleep better and, like, eat a salad. I'll be fine.
Mental health will be way better.
I mean,
or way worse. We'll find out.
I don't know. This is just, like, generally the cycle of my depression. That's all it is.
I was about to say something really rude. I'm not going to say.
Okay. Say it.
I was going to say, if you kill yourself, can I still release this? Or?
Yeah. No. Yeah, honestly, though, I had when you were talking about Yosemite, I was like, you could die hiking.
I know. One of us will be dying. Oh my God, this is so spooky. If one of us dies, this is going to be so spooky.
Because we were I was like, and you're back from Yosemite. And I was like, what if she never comes back?
I know. I just jinxed myself. Well, guess what? I'm not coming back, no matter what you say.
Okay. Okay. Anytime. Okay. This was a slog for me.
A slut?
A sludge? A slut. This is a slut. This
person's a slut. My last one was a slut. Nell Gwen's kind of a slut.
In a good way.
I mean, all sluts are in a good way.
Hell yeah. Okay. This is Roman Empire stuff. Ooh. Which always makes my brain turn off immediately.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like, I don't know why. I don't know what it is, because it's like, this to me is like part of the problem with history is there's like some of the most exciting shit that happens during this time, and somehow the way that it's told is so fucking boring and puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
I think
not today, guys.
No, baby. No, I like jazzed it up.
Because
it's just like all these
history teacher Ariel.
It's all these fucking names that I've never heard before.
The names are tough.
And these dates that I have no context for.
Right. It's like 17. You're like, okay,
yeah, and
I don't know.
The only thing that I know that was happening then is whatever you're telling me right now.
Yeah.
That's it. And I know that there wasn't like TV. So just know that for researching this woman, I am a hero. Wow. And a martyr. Okay.
Just like her.
Just like her.
If you die.
Yeah. She does die before. Well, we'll see. Okay. You'll see.
She's still alive. She's from
the Roman Empire.
She's still living.
Immortal.
How have you guys not heard about her?
Her story lives on. Okay. Oh, also, I totally forgot this, but 2 weeks ago, the last episode, that was a suggestion. The Angels of Baton. That was a suggestion from Kathleen. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Kathleen.
This one is a suggestion from Kelsey. So thank you, Kelsey.
Wow.
This guy who I went to college with.
Just friends with the whitest girl names.
Kelsey's a guy.
Whoa!
We went to college together.
Changing it up.
He's a writer. He's a journalist now, and so follow him on Twitter. He's very good on Twitter. Kelsey Atherton. Okay, our story today takes place in Palmyra, which is a city in what is now Syria. So Palmyra started off as this tiny little desert town that was built around an oasis, and then gradually people have access to water, so they're having sex, and then travelers would pass through, so the population is a booming. Mm-hmm. And like whenever these travelers would pass through, they always came with their spices and like whatever other goods people went to war over. And then suddenly Palmyra finds itself as like a main stopping point along the Silk Road. All these people are just coming through. Hold on. Excuse me. That's for history teachers. Okay, so Palmyra is also this buffer between the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire. It's just like both existed at the same time. Palmyra is just like sitting there right in the middle.
Cool.
So it's this good place to be, and it becomes known as the Pearl of the Desert. Oh. It's technically under it's part of the Roman Empire. But they have some independence. Like they have like some autonomy. It's kind of like being like when you're an adult and you go back home to visit your parents. Mm-hmm. Like you're still an independent person, but like they can't really give you a curfew, but also like you can't really afford a hotel room.
Yeah.
So like you kind of just like do what they say, even though you're a grown up.
Are you?
My sophomore year, that's a real story from my sophomore year of college when I came home and my mom told me to be home by 10.
10?
Yep. Because I was leaving the next day and she didn't want to wait up worrying.
10.
I know.
Oh no.
She like denies that she did that. She did that. Okay. We're just working out our issues on this podcast with our parents.
Good.
Okay. So, Palmyra had its own governor, but that governor like worked for the Roman Empire, like for the crown or whatever, like the emperor. So it's like this real balancing act. And then Palmyra starts putting a tax on every good that comes through their town. It's so funny how like just earlier we got a compliment on our production value and then immediately lost half an episode.
Well, it was like I guess it was about it. Well, it was maybe like a third of an episode.
Okay.
But here we are. We're back.
So, Palmyra puts a tax on every good that comes through their town. It's like 25%. It's a lot of taxes, but like some of it's going to the empire, but then Palmyra is keeping a lot of it. It's like your classic, probably like 70-30 split. And Palmyra becomes rich as hell. And since this is like a place with all of these people passing through from different lands, and there are like all of these different languages being spoken, Palmyra becomes this very open and tolerant city because like when you isolate yourself and try to keep immigrants out, you become dumb and homogenous and talk about living in a bubble. So in the year 240, after Common Era, or just Common Era, I guess it's before Common Era, and then otherwise it's Common Era.
CE,
right?
BCE.
Yeah. BCE or C. Yeah.
Just talk about
after
Christ,
death,
okay?
Just
stop trying to ignore Christ.
Just like after like 240 years after Christ died.
After one dude died.
I'm going to put that on everything. Like when they're like, what year is it? I'm going to be like, it's 2018 years after Christ died. Okay, so this is when
what if you're just like, we only go by the years of the Jewish calendar, and you just only put the years?
So obnoxious. It's like 5780.
Just so no one knows what we're talking about.
That's what year it is. I like stopped keeping track after I stopped going to Hebrew school. I was like,
I gotta say that was one of my favorite bits by He Who Shall Not Be Jerking Off in Front of Others Anymore. Is about on the last special that was like, man, you want to know how we know Christians won? We use the calendar.
Yeah, we started time over.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it is about to rain. I'm glad we missed the whole nice part of the day. That's what's important.
No, that feels right for today.
That feels right for sure.
That's what we deserve.
Oh God,
we went to bed way too late.
Yeah, woke up way too late.
We put this off time and time again.
Yeah, this is what we get. We miss any sunshine and joy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of sunshine and joy, in the year 240, Zenobia was born. She has like a few different names depending on the language that you're speaking and like the translation, but we know her as Zenobia, or like Zenobia of Palmyra.
We know her as a Disney Channel princess.
It's like such a Disney princess name.
Yeah.
It like reminds me of Xenon.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's because of Xenon.
That's what you said. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. No, that's what I was thinking. I couldn't think of what it was reminding me of. That's it. Yeah.
It just sounds like the name of like the most beautiful model.
Yeah, it is a beautiful name.
Okay, so she's born into this like pretty high up family. Okay, according to her, she's not a descendant of Cleopatra, but she's like a relative. So they both come from the same branch family. They have they share a common, they have a missing link. Like they share a common ancestor.
Right. And again, without ancestry.com, there's no way to prove otherwise.
Exactly. Because like
my dad's doing ancestry.com.
What?
My dad's doing it. And I like kind of roasted him for it, and he was like kind of sad, and I felt bad. But I was like, Dad, your parents were both born in Ireland.
Yeah, you're 100% Irish.
But I guess like the Spanish invaded. I bet there'll be a little Spanish. He got real sad. I was like, Dad, why are you doing that? That's dumb. And he was like, oh, I kind of wanted to know.
Yeah.
Well, he was like, he has a friend who's born in England,
as
and
long
he
as
had other stuff in there.
Uh-huh.
So you never know.
As long as nobody in your family is a murderer for an unsolved
Well, Louis said a
crime.
funny thing. Louis was like, Ancestry.com is just like, for some people, it's just like, okay, well, who raped someone in my family?
Yeah.
That's like it for a while. But I mean, I'm interested. My mom's side of the family is like way more curious to me. They're just like Eastern Europe. It's like, I don't know. That could be anywhere.
Yeah. I think I know.
You should do it though. I feel like yours would be really interesting.
Well, probably, but also like I think I know because like people in my family kept records all the time.
Really well,
like
yeah.
there's like everybody in my family is just a hoarder.
Or a Jew. The Jews love records.
Yeah. Yes.
Like not the dancing kind, like the notebook kind.
Right. Yeah. Not big dancers.
But yeah. Anyways, but sorry. So yes, she
yeah,
says she's
just
related to
like Cleopatra was like my cousin.
I believe her.
I don't know. I went to middle school with so many people who claimed that they were related to Brian Luttrell because he was from my hometown, from the Backstreet Boys.
Right.
And it was a running. Anybody could just say that Brian's my cousin.
Did you see that tweet that John Legend tweeted the other day? I forget. He like retweeted something, and it was about like fame whores or something. And he was like, "Yeah, I can relate to that because once a cousin of mine sold tickets to quote unquote Christmas dinner with John Legend."
Oh my God.
Isn't that horrible?
That's insane.
Like he was just going to bring someone to Christmas. I don't know. Well, I think they saw it before it happened, but his plan was to just like put that on the internet and then just like bring a stranger to Christmas dinner.
Hey.
Oh, people are bad. Anyway.
One day our relatives will do that.
We can only hope.
They won't. They will not. Okay.
Not because they're good, but because we will fail. Just to clarify.
Right. No, that's what I meant. Okay. So Zenobia comes. Her family's very educated. They're these intellectuals.
I also keep thinking of the activity commercials like Zenobia. That's what I keep thinking. All right.
She'll keep you regular.
She will.
So she grows up to be very beautiful, and she's very athletic, and she's very skilled, and so she marries Odaenathus.
Yeah, that sounds good.
For sure how you pronounce it. And he is the governor of Palmyra. So he already has a wife and son, but like, why not one more? Zenobia ends up also giving birth to a son, and like by all accounts, Odaenathus is a good ruler. He keeps Rome pretty calm, pretty regular. They trust him. They like believe that he's loyal to them, but at the same time, he's expanding Palmyra's territory and also becoming more independent. So at one point, I think like maybe Rome got a little suspicious, but then the Persians invaded, and he like fought them back and was like, "No, like we are with the Roman Empire," and the Romans were like, "Thank you so much for doing that. Clearly you're like on our side." But the Roman Empire at this point was kind of a shit show, because it was just like a bunch of incompetent, power hungry military dudes trying to be emperor, and they just kept killing each other. And then like that,
thinking they would not get killed. That's
yeah,
like
I don't know or maybe it's just like it's worth it.
Could be emperor for like 10 minutes.
I don't know. It's like how good can life be in 260?
Yeah,
you know, like whatever. Just
how
like,
long are you gonna live anyway? Really,
truly, just like do whatever it takes to like have a little fun for a minute.
Your 15 minutes of fame.
And so this like trickled down though, because like every guy would have multiple wives and they would have multiple kids, and then the wives would kill each other's kids so that their son could be the heir to the throne. Which very much reminded me of New York moms trying to get their kids into preschool.
Yeah.
Just like, I will do whatever it takes. Definitely. I will ruin somebody else in order for my kid to get
ahead
her ABCs before yours.
I love my kids so much that I will hate another kid.
Which like I get, but don't kill them.
No.
Okay, so everything is like going pretty well, but then at some point, Odaenathus and his first son from his first wife at pretty much at the same time are murdered.
Sick.
And some people are like, maybe Zenobia had something to do with that.
Zenobia's just like whistling, like twiddling her thumbs, like,
I don't know.
You wasn't me.
Because it's just like, it's just like very coincidental and very suspicious. Because since they both died at the same time, all of a sudden her 9-year-old son is now the governor.
Well, that's convenient.
So convenient. Also, Odaenathus's first wife, never mentioned again. No clue what happened to her.
Wait, she dies though, right?
No, her son dies.
I thought you said she died too.
Odaenathus and his first son.
Oh, I thought the wife died. She
maybe
killed Odaenathus?
Yeah, or had him killed.
Oh, I thought it was the wife and the other. Oh, interesting.
No. She has the governor her husband killed. Or maybe somebody else killed him, and it's totally it could be totally unrelated. Like people are getting murdered all the time.
Yeah, it's very in fashion then. Togas and murder.
They heard they were doing it in Paris. They're like, well, we gotta get it here.
That's a reference to the last podcast from 2 weeks ago that you definitely don't remember.
So now like Zenobia's young son is supposed to be governor, and she's like, I'm just gonna be like Lindsay Lohan's mom,
young governor,
and I'm just gonna take over for now, just like until he's old enough.
That's just Game like of Thrones.
Take care of it for him until like a trust fund, or not a trust fund, a savings bond. Yes. Like I'll just this is for later. So Zenobia then like takes power and looks around her and sees that the Roman Empire is like truly fucking things up. In the last 30 years, they had 19 different emperors because they just keep killing each other. And then, okay, there's no way to know like what her motives were because they didn't like keep a diary back then. Or like if they did, it was just like painstaking carving into it, or like whatever. We don't know. But so maybe she was trying to take over the empire because she was a power hungry person and just like wanted that. She wanted her own empire. Or maybe she just wanted to keep Palmyra safe and independent from Rome because she could see the writing on the wall, and she could see the hieroglyphs on the cave. Like, she could see what was happening and like knew that.
She see the writing on the wall because all writing was on walls.
Oh my God, that's where that comes from.
Wow, it's like U-Haul in the last
U-Haul and the Muffin Man.
Oh wow,
that makes in my mind I always imagined it as like a little kid who had written on the wall in crayons.
I don't know that I'd ever really thought about it.
That's like the image that I would. I'm learning
much. I think, as we said, art is up for interpretation, and there's no higher art form than a corny saying.
I'm learning so much, like how dumb I am, and how literally I take things. Okay. Wow. So either way, Zenobia starts this campaign, and she leads her army in a revolt against the Romans. They take over Egypt, which like some sources were just like, it's because in her heart she felt that she was connected to Cleopatra, and so Egypt was her homeland. Right. And she was an Arab woman, and so because of that, Egypt had a special place in her soul. Or more likely, it's because Egypt fucking grew all of the grain for the Roman Empire.
That's true.
So Zenobia was like, no, I'm gonna fucking take over the place where they make the grain, because also all of the Romans were
sanctions, bitch.
Exactly. Yeah, like they were all promised free bread, like everybody in the Roman Empire. That was just like what healthcare is for us, right? Just like a guarantee.
Yeah.
And so she knew that by controlling the grain, she controlled the Romans.
Yeah.
Then she went on to conquer the rest of Syria and Palestine and Lebanon. She surrounded her court with intellectuals, so not just like war-hungry mongrels. She like actually had people who were like interested in thought and stuff. Technically, it was like a pagan society, but Jews and Christians also made up part of the inner circle. Like she was just like it was like, I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did, as long as you left Palmyra.
Wow, Brian Luttrell is your cousin.
Welcome second. Who you are. Okay, so she's seen as like very level-headed. She's a measured ruler. She encourages all of these restoration projects because she's like, we need infrastructure. And she would drink with her generals, and like she could like hold it down, and she would like a lot of times be on the front lines of battle, and like she was a very skilled horse rider, all this cool shit. So she's killing it. She's unstoppable. She's like, hell yeah, I'm so good at this. Rome is so bad at this. Boom. But then 270 years after Christ died, the Roman Empire like got its shit together, and this guy named Aurelian became the emperor, and he's like this incredible warrior. He like whips them into shape. He's just like, we need like a chore sheet and like a chore chart, and everybody's gonna be in charge of something different, and we're gonna stop being dicks and fucking around, like otherwise we're gonna lose the whole empire. And like Zenobia took Palmyra. God damn it, we need Palmyra. So they have this big huge battle in Antioch, and Zenobia and her men are kind of getting their asses kicked. So Aurelian sends a message to Zenobia, and he's like, hey, I bid you surrender. Please, just surrender, promising that your lives shall be spared. And Zenobia writes back, you demand my surrender as though you were not aware that Cleopatra preferred to die a queen rather than remain alive.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's too much.
A little dramatic.
It's, you know, like...
It's like, you're not, even if you're like a distant cousin, you're not Cleopatra.
You're not. Yeah. Like, you're not... We all have like an older cousin who we look up to and who we want to be just like, but we don't put it in text. Also, like, you know, write the email, save it in drafts, don't send it, sleep on it.
Yeah.
Next morning, reread it.
She sent that horse off right away with that letter.
She really did. That was a lot of passion. There's a lot of passion in that. A lot of like, I would rather die. But then she runs away and tries to escape. She gets to the Euphrates River, and then she's like, oh, right, I can't cross this. It's a river. And then she is captured. And so, like, that's the end of, like, what we know about Zenobia. Because then, not really sure what happens. Palmyra ends up falling back to the Romans. Some sources say that Zenobia killed herself when she was captured. Other sources say that Aurelian brought her back to Rome and made like an example out of her and beheaded her. One source said that Aurelian brought her back to live in Rome, where she remained throughout her days and like married a senator and like lived in whatever and blah blah blah, because like he was unable to be cruel to a woman. But I don't think so, because he also wrote, when he took over Palmyra, he wrote, we have not spared the woman. God damn it. I made the same mistake last time. We have not spared the women. We have slain the children. We have butchered the old men. So, like,
you don't care.
No, you're not like some gentleman.
Chivalry was dead in 2070.
Just like the old men.
Rather.
And children. And women.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but like the reason why he was able to defeat her is because he didn't underestimate her. He was just like, no, this woman can fucking
bad bitch alert.
Battle. She puts the bad in battle. He thank you.
It didn't work.
It worked enough. He said that his critics wouldn't be so hard on him if they knew what kind of adversary she was. And then Zenobia basically became a national symbol in Syria. She started showing up on banknotes and as statues. And I didn't know how to end this, so I ended it on a real down note. Today, Palmyra, once the pearl of the desert, is now a city of rubble, because it was basically made up of all of these, like, there are all these Roman artifacts and like all of these statues and stuff. And it used to be like this huge tourist destination. And then ISIS, like bombed it to shit and like vandalized all of their statues, and like tried to, supposedly there's like a bunch of treasure like buried somewhere from Zenobia's reign, that she like all of these cultural artifacts. And there was like this head archaeology guy, he was like 82 years old, and when ISIS came in, they were like, tell us where the treasure is, and he was like, no. And then they were like, okay, and then they beheaded him. So just like, no, like, it's a bummer.
Well, that means it's still around, right? Or did they find it? We don't know.
Yeah, it might still, it's like, who knows if it even exists.
Yeah.
But if you're into like buried treasure, go to Syria.
Don't go to Syria.
Sorry.
Well, guess what, ISIS? You can't stop the ideas. You can't stop this podcast.
You have no control over us.
No.
Ugh. Okay. My sources were last time
ISIS.com.
Also, just so you guys know, last time we recorded this part of the episode, that bit went on for way longer.
Yeah, it went on for, I think it was better. It had more legs last time. I believe in it. We'll never know.
I know. But okay. My sources were The Atlantic by Leon Wieseltier.
Yep.
WireProject.org, New York Magazine by Lawrence Wright, National Geographic, AncientOrigins.net, Wikipedia, and DocVids on YouTube.
Woo! All right. let's keep it moving. We've been here for a long time. Okay, I'll make it quick. This one is kind of quick. So my woman is Estelle Axton. She was born on 9/11. 1918. 1918, before 9/11 was 9/11. She was born in Middleton, Tennessee, which is a small town of only 800 people. Her maiden name was Estelle Stewart. She grew up on a farm, lived a very normal, sort of modest life. At some point, she moves to Memphis and becomes a school teacher. She marries this guy named Everett Axton, and they're just living this like quiet, sweet 1950s life, raising 2 teenagers. She's working at a bank. He's got a job. They got a house.
She bakes pies.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. Just like, 40 years old. Like, all right,
somebody
I guess
else
this is
smells
what my
that
life's gonna
pie,
be.
and they float in the air and they drift towards it. That's just like what happened in the 1950s.
Right, exactly. And she's just like, okay, I guess this is what my life is now. And then in a real inspiring thing where you're like, oh, you never know where life's gonna take you. Her younger brother, who was like 10 or 12, different sources of different things, 10 or 12 years younger than her, much younger than her. Her little brother Jim, in late 1958, comes to her and is like, look, sis, I started a record company because, we all see what's happening with that Elvis guy. Turns out music can make money. I want a record company. So I started this thing called Satellite Records, and I've set it up. Oh, have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I set it up, and
I haven't heard of this. I've heard of Satellite Records.
Yeah. Later to become Stax Records. Spoiler ahead. Anyway, but so he had set it up, but he was like, needed some financial help. Like his finances had fallen through. And he was like, look, why don't you go into business with me? We're going to start a record company. Mm-hmm. She's like, okay, that sounds pretty chill. And so she convinces her husband to refinance their house and start it with him. Her brother Jim was also, he was like a fiddle player. So most of the music that he was interested in was actually like country and what's that? Oh, I don't know what that is.
Roof music.
What's roof music?
Fiddler on the Roof.
There it is. Was like country and rockabilly and stuff like that. So, but anyway, she's like, yeah, that sounds fun. I'll do that. So she convinces her husband to remortgage their house. And in February 1959, she joins as an equal partner. So her and her brother are equal partners. She keeps her bank job at first, but it's very obvious that she's like deeply interested in this business right away. She just like loves talking to young artists and like young musicians and finding them. She's like just got a real mind for it. In 1960, so just like less than a year later, she and Jim buy an old abandoned movie theater that had like shut down after television became popular, and it's in this like African American neighborhood in Memphis, and it's called the Capitol Theater. And they turn it. That too. Yeah, they turn the Capitol Theater into their recording studio in the back, and then in the front, it's a record shop. Yeah. And so because it is an African American neighborhood, a black neighborhood, the people that start coming in and inquiring are like all these like African American people from the neighborhood, and so she like meets a lot of them. Oh, they also had to refinance their home again to refurbish this old theater. Jesus. But it ends up paying off. What
does it mean to refinance?
Truly don't know. I think it's okay. I think what it means is you go to the bank and they like your house becomes like an asset. Okay, I don't know about things. I think basically you're like, okay, well, you give me this much money, but I think you're basically like, if I don't pay it back, you can like take my house. I think that's kind of what it is. It's like you use your house as like collateral. I think. I truly don't know. If anyone, my mom will probably hear this and be like, Molly, I should have taught you this. But,
yeah, my mom will too.
In 2 weeks, let us know. wellbehavedpod@gmail.com if you know anything about what remortgaging or refinance. Are those even the same thing? Refinancing and remortgaging? I don't know. Anyway, so whatever. But yeah, I know that's what I think it is. I think it's basically
risky.
It's a risk. It's sort of a risky thing. Yeah, you're like. You need money. You need a large chunk of money, and you're saying like, "Look, I have a house, so you can give it to me because this is like I'm putting it on the line."
Is that what Michael Cohen did to pay off Stormy Daniels? He took out something on his house.
I don't know. God,
Okay.
I don't know. Ugh,
All right,
I don't
that's
know
okay.
this kind of thing.
I don't either.
Anyway, but it was like sort of a risk. But in the middle of 1960, it pays off. They have a huge hit with this song "'Cause I Love You," recorded by Rufus Thomas and his daughter Carla. And I listened to the song, and it's very weird because it is a love song, but it's sung by his daughter and father. Anyway, so they make a deal with Atlantic Records and they lease the single with the distribution deal. So basically, middle of 1960, they get this huge pop. They get this huge hit. They're like, oh, wow, this Satellite Records people, they know what they're doing. They're doing good. So all these aspiring young black musicians come by the shop and they meet with Estelle, and you can like watch interviews and stuff where they talk about her. Apparently she just like had a real ear for talent and like was very motherly to all of them. Like they would all come into the shop, and if someone like couldn't afford a record, she wouldn't like kick them out. Like she's not a Starbucks. She would like play the record. Like she'd be like, what's your favorite new record? And she'd play it for them in the store, and then she would be like, why do you like this? Like what do you like about it? And, like her teacher side came out, but then also she would gather, so she kind of used the sales in the shop to determine what was popular at the time and bring that back to her brother and be like, hey, we should make records like this because this is what's selling right now.
She's basically doing her own
like data analytics. Yeah. She was like doing like kind of casual analytics about like, oh, what are the musicians into? What are the customers buying? What's this? What's that? Oh, this sounds like, that sounds new. Like,
right.
She was like very into it, and it wasn't like, you know, didn't sound like she had like actual systems of analytics, but just, you know, based on what she was seeing. Yeah. And it was also like at this time, you know, it's like early 1960s in Memphis, Tennessee. It's like a very racially divided place still, and she was someone, they like all the musicians that I saw like talk about her were like, she never made you feel like different based on what color you were. Like she said herself, quote, we didn't see color, we just saw talent. So that was like very motherly and a very supportive place, and all the musicians talk about how they would all just get together and play music. Like it was a uniquely integrated place for Memphis in the, you know, the late 50s, early 60s. So she let me see, what was I going to say? They ended up rivaling Motown Records as like one of the most successful soul labels in America. They like, basically I asked Louis about this because so Motown was like in Detroit, and Motown was like much more like Motown Records had a much more like produced kind of clean sound, and then Satellite / Stax, what they became Stax Records, was much like grittier and like Otis Redding, like that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. It's like in
like
the South.
Motown is like NPR,
right? We are the Stax Records of podcasts. So
and I am comparing myself to Otis Redding.
Get over it. Now I'm comparing myself to Estelle. Anyway, so in 1960, her son Charles and his band, the Marquis, made this record label its first million seller, like sold 1 million copies.
Is that platinum, gold?
I don't know. It didn't say. Yeah, it just said that million sold. And this was interesting because she had to like beg her brother to release it. She like cursed him and begged him and was like, this thing by my son is really good, you have to release it. And finally he did, but he bet her $100 that it wouldn't be a hit, and he was obviously wrong.
He had to refinance his home.
Yeah, I don't think he ever did. It's out like they basically, a lot of what it feels like, she was the one that would like discover people and have to push for them, and he was more resistant. I didn't talk about this too much, but I also think that maybe he wasn't, I think because of the type of music he was interested in, I don't know that he was like always envisioned that it would be soul. Like I think he thought it would be like a country rockabilly thing. I don't know. That was just sort of the impression that I got based on the information. It never really explicitly said that, but it sounds like they didn't really get along super well, especially by the end. But they, you know, they were like, they had to change their name to Stax in 1961 because a label in Los Angeles had already claimed Satellite. But Stax is a much better label, and so if you don't, get it. So Jim's last name was, and her maiden name was Stewart, and her last name was Axton. So they took the first two letters of their last names, ST and AX, and so it's like Stax, which I also think is just a cool name.
Sounds good.
It's just a great, because it's like a stack of records.
That's one syllable.
It's one syllable. It's got an X in it.
X, yeah.
It's got
X
a cool,
is always
it's a cool name. Yeah.
cool.
Stax is way better than satellite.
Stax
anyway.
sounds like sex.
Sort of, yeah. It has like that. It gives you that vibe, which is great for a brother-sister team. No, I'm kidding.
It's just like that father-daughter song.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
It's
the
Tennessee.
South, after all. Yeah.
This is why we have a bad reputation, guys. We do it to ourselves.
I know. So the 60s are going off, and Stax Records is responsible for legendary artists such as Otis Redding, Booker T and the MGs, Isaac Hayes, the Staple Sisters, etc. Towards the end of the decade, things start to fall apart a little bit for them. Jim and Estelle are arguing a lot. In December 67, Otis Redding dies in a plane crash. In April of 1968, MLK is shot at the Lorraine Motel, which was like part of like basically it was like the home, what they called it was like the home away from home for Stax Records. So like they would frequent there a lot, and people who were visiting them would stay there. So like that was like the hotel where MLK was shot. Like it just was the place where like prominent African Americans would stay when they were in Memphis.
Right.
That's just like where, so it makes sense. That's why he was there.
And so then after the assassination, were they like, we don't want to go there?
I don't know. They didn't really say anything about that. I mean, I'm assuming they would still go there, but it just like was a shift, like it just felt like sort of the end of an era of things like these two big tragedies, and like they and Jim and Estelle are fighting. It just was like a rough time, and
the energy in the air had sort of
shifted. And it's the end of the decade, and so she sold her stock in the company, her Stax stock in 1970. And then like Louis was just telling me, because Louis is the person who suggested her, and so for some of it I just was like, what happened? And for I guess after this, like the 60s and the 70s with Stax Records was like a very different era. They ended up going bankrupt in 75, but they had this like crazy experience where like they were about to go bankrupt in like 73, and then they had this huge music festival like run by Isaac Hayes, and that's why, and Isaac Hayes like popped off then. It gave them like a few more years of life basically, but basically she wasn't around for any of that, and Stax does go bankrupt in 75, but now it's like a museum in Memphis that Louis went to, and he said is really, really cool. I wasn't there with him, but it sounds really interesting. So for Estelle, for the rest of her life, a few years later, she creates Free Tone Records, which has like a huge hit with this, they called it a novelty song called Disco Duck, which was exactly what you think it is. It is a bad song about a duck who does disco. It's a lot of quacking noises, and it's by DJ Rick Dees, and that was in 1976. It is truly weird, but it was a big hit apparently in 76. I
want to listen to it.
Yeah, I could only listen for like 10 seconds, and I was like,
Disco Duck?
Right. It's called Disco Duck. Yeah, a lot of the other music that I listened to for this was cool and good, but that was not. That was not a good one. A lot of musicians, like I said, cite Estelle for like encouraging them. She was very motherly, and like they all speak super highly of her. And then like for the rest of her life, she bought an apartment building. She sold it, retired from music, and then like for the last several years of her life, she worked as a cashier at a cafeteria. I couldn't tell if that was like out of necessity or out of like wanting something to do. I assume wanting something to do, because unless she like blew all her money or something, but I didn't see that.
Maybe the 80s were crazy, you know.
They were crazy, yeah. But she died of natural causes at age 85.
What's a cocaine overdose?
It's cocaine is natural. No, she did not. To clarify, she did not die of a cocaine overdose. February 25th, 2004.
Can't libel the dead.
But I will say, it talks about how she was like fashionably dressed and always smoking cigarettes, and I just think cigarettes are funny because look, they definitely, like, I think some people they will kill you, and some people they will not. Like my grandma has been my grandma has been smoking cigarettes forever, and she just turned 80, and it's like, well, okay, like, and she's like fine. Like, and Estelle smoked cigarettes and she lived to 85. It's like sometimes you just get lucky, but I guess you don't want to take that chance.
Yeah,
and they're
it's like,
smelly. It's more than anything.
There's like other things, but it's like you know, not everybody who had HIV died, but
True.
like, because some people could just
did,
like live with it forever. And it would like never progress, but like you don't want to take the risk.
No, not a good risk. No, I wouldn't take it. Cool. Well, that
was great.
I guess we could do some
Estelle
Axton. Stewart was her maiden name.
Estelle Axton. Okay, we're gonna tell you our dates for stand-up comedy. June 6th on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, I'll be at Two Boots in Park Slope. So if you want to come get some pizza. And on Sunday, June 10th at 6 o'clock, we'll be doing another Us Is This sketch show. So come to that.
Is it monthly?
No, it's just 2 shows.
Oh,
We're just doing 2 shows ever. It's like part of some like program through the Magnet Theater.
Cool.
So it's at the Magnet Theater. Wednesday, June 13th at 8 o'clock, I'll be at the Village Lantern. And Friday, June 15th at 8 o'clock, I'll be at Union Hall.
Cool. On June 4th, I'll be this is actually very relevant to this podcast, in a show called Hypothesisters at Caveat. And I'm going to be playing a woman scientist from history. I'm going to be embodying someone, but I don't know who yet. Yes, one in particular, but I'm not sure which one yet. They're going to assign me someone. No, I think the woman producing the show, Kate Villa, is going to tell me who to be, but I do need to ask her about that because that's in 2 weeks. Or actually, it will be the day this comes out. And then Wednesday the 6th, I'm at Midriff Comedy at the 20. And then... yeah, I think that's my last thing. Oh, and then I'm at the Platform on the 9th at 9 p.m.
Cool. In Bushwick.
In Bushwick.
Cool.
Thank you. And actually, then I'm in D.C. with opening for Sean Patton at the Draft House on the 15th and 16th. So that's exciting. Okay.
Rate us on iTunes. Send us your comments or questions or suggestions for women to wellbehavedpod@gmail.com or tweet at us at wellbehavedpod. Facebook, Well Behaved Podcast, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for listening. Keep making history.
And don't you ever say that she was well behaved.